parents have always told us to be steady and all. I would rather recommend you to be so fidgety that you keep on moving your blood supply.
Actually, compression stockings do have a role to play, but
We have seen people with using long time compression stockings, even post surgical, having more swelling in the lower leg.
for those who cannot be so active, does passive exercise have a role to play too?
Passive exercise for a very
Massage therapy, and we've seen videos of people who are shouting in pain when the calf is being massaged.
I would completely recommend not to do that.
So, what exactly is this Rolfing? Lifting weights, men versus women, any difference between the two?
Yes, because of testosterone, men can easily lift weight.
No pain, no gain, that doesn't hold true.
No, it does not.
When we talk of exercise, physiotherapy is something that comes to our mind. And as a part of expansion of our podcast, today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Drashti Shah, who's the leading physiotherapist in Vadodara with more than 28 years of experience, not just as a sports physiotherapist, but she's helped numerous multiple athletes improve their sports performance as well. And she will really give her inputs and share her expertise about what new methods that she has been using, all of which are going to be very helpful to all of you. So, welcome to this podcast, Trust.
Thank you.
So, let's get started right away.
Yes, definitely.
When we're talking of circulation, exercise is something which comes naturally to all of us. So, what guidelines would you give to someone who wants to keep their circulation flowing good?
So when we talk about circulation, circulation majorly depends, everything depends on movement. As soon as you move each and every part of the body, all the capillaries starts acting up. We want the movement also to bring the impure blood up towards the heart. So your arteries and the veins control the whole circulation, and this is controlled by the movement. So I insist that everybody should be moving in whichever way throughout the day.
Great. So for people who are say confined to the desk, they have a sitting job and they're not used to walking around or they cannot walk around. So any few 2 or 3 fast tips that they can follow even if they're sitting?
If they compulsory have to sit, calf pumping in sitting is one thing I recommend, which is really help many people. And cross leg sitting like that, moving your hip joint, twisting and turning on the desk to move your spine, gentle stretches on the neck. So I recommend that you be fidgety rather than every one of us have, our parents have always told us to be steady and all. I would rather recommend you to be so fidgety that you keep on moving your blood supply.
Great. With sitting being called the new age smoking, no doubt that we have to really take care, especially when we have to be sitting for longer hours. On the same lines, when we talk of vascular problems like varicose veins, venous insufficiency, and on the other side, we have arterial problems, which may be artery blockages and poor arterial blood flow. So, what specific advice would you, as an expert, give to these patients? There are two different groups, and would your advice change for both?
Yes, my advice change for both. Firstly, we see their pulses and all, how the arterial supply is there. Visibly, we can see when we are talking about veins, visible changes are a lot. Advanced arterial changes also, we see wound and darkness around the area. So, if it is artery related and it is in the beginning stage, then I would do a graded exercise programs and which is well monitored by all our movement specialists. So whenever we start a program, we see that they do not have symptoms like claudication, which means that when the proper oxygen is not supplied, when your arteries and your capillaries cannot supply to the muscles which you are using, you will feel suffocated in the legs and there is lot of throbbing pain. So we ask the patient to take frequent breaks, the amount of breaks and the amount of time. Then we keep on changing according to how we grade our exercises. So strengthening, flexibility and proper aerobic program is our base for the arterial disease. For the venous insufficiency, a lot of time strength is lacking in most of people. Also, I've seen tightness also around. So when there is a lot of tightness, then the muscles are not even able to move so much. So it's like you are wearing a really tight stockings. So flexibility again, ankle pumping, strengthening the lower body, compression and elevation is for venous return.
We also have found that actually compression stockings do have a role to play, but maybe a combination of using stockings and exercising muscles would be more effective.
Definitely, because we have seen people with using long time compression stockings, even post surgical, for example, knee replacement. We have seen people having more swelling in the lower leg because then the blood it is not supply, it does not go back. So we feel that whenever possible, if you know how to use the crepe bandages, if you know how to take the compression stockings in and out, take frequent breaks, remove it for a few hours according to your doctor, do lower body exercises, elevate for some time, move, and then wear it. So, yes, the basic balance is important.
When we talk of leg swelling and pain, so common symptoms, and I'm sure that more than 40-50% of our population would have either swelling or pain. So, as an expert who also specializes in manual lymphatic drainage, so what key things would you advise someone to take care of their swelling and pain?
So, for pain, reduce blood supply, reduce nutrition, minerals like magnesium, calcium, sometimes dehydration, that is major thing. So, I recommend for pain, strengthening flexibility is very important. For reducing swelling, strengthening is very important. So, manual lymphatic drainage, I learned in by 2015, between 2015 and 17, I learned a lot about manual lymphatic drainage. Initially, we were taught in the schools only certain kind of massages where very light strokes on the top and whether very deep strokes deeper in the muscle were done, like deep tissue massages and all. But while doing proper lymphatic drainage, I saw that the strokes were very light and they were very specific. They were towards all the lymph nodes, which is the bunch of lymph nodes like a drainage system in our body. So lymphatic system is a drainage system in our body. And there are, just like your bathroom has those drainage places behind the knee, your groin, your abdomen, your underarms, these are the places where the lymph nodes are. So these strokes are towards certain ways and then it is thrown towards the heart and kidney and then the body disposes of. So at least 3 liters of lymph is to be disposed of every day. Stagnancy comes because of inactivity. So activity, activity, activity.
For those who cannot be so active,
Still, I recommend
so
activity.
does passive exercise have a role to play too?
Passive exercise for a very older group of people who are not getting out of the bed, if they are not able to because of surgery or any other complications, then passive exercises just helps to prevent certain things like maybe clots and all. But if the patient is able to do isometrics, which is where you're not moving the joint but just tightening the muscle, I would recommend still moving the muscles.
And there are a lot of these fancy equipments coming up which are, claimed to improve circulation. So, what has been your experience when people use these things?
The pneumatic compression is one of them, and I really like it. So I would recommend it. Other compression, I we use vacuum along with interferential current, and it has really worked since I bought this machine since 2015, and we are using in geriatric cases, post-operative cases, even around local application on the knee and all. It does work. So I wouldn't say the whole circulation depends on this machine, but if you are too tired or if you have lot of pain and if you need external help, then these are good choices.
Right. So, that was what I was coming to, that for people who cannot be active for any reason, maybe for them using these external devices may be helpful, but for if someone who can be active, then probably being active, being mobile would help them much more than these machines would.
For sports people, I've seen that pneumatic compression does work very well for recovery, because when there is a lot of lactic acid collected in the lower body and they want to use it back to back, because now there's nothing called off season for most of the sports persons, so they don't get good recovery. So I would suggest a good nice manual lymphatic drainage with compression therapy and yoga stretches and all, which helps to take the lymph back, impurities back, and lactic acid also.
On the same lines, there's a lot of confusion about massage therapy, and we've seen videos of people who are shouting in pain when the calf is being massaged. So, what do you want to comment about these painful massage therapies?
So we have had patients since ever where the massage therapist have pressed our patients and certain knots are there always in the body. There are different types of those collections, lactic acid collections. These are known as tender points. So there are certain tender points which are acute tender points. There are certain tender points which are latent tender points, and they become acute only when you have overused them. They are there since maybe your 11th or 12th grade when you are studying, and it becomes a rock. So those are harmless tender points unless they become acute. So when they are pressed too deep, then you are actually pressing on the whole tissue and blocking the circulation for them to go back in the circulation. So you may feel good at that time because somebody is pressing on that, but if it is not drained, then it becomes a inflamed acute tender point. So I wouldn't suggest if you have those deep points and you feel good temporary and you're shouting during the massage, I would completely recommend not to do that.
So, no pain, no gain. That doesn't hold true.
No, it does not. Right. So for other massage, like for example, Rolfing, what I do. So what I learned basically since I'm doing Rolfing and manual lymphatic, I don't use any other technique. I've learned muscle energy techniques, MFR, myofascial release and all. But they target on, for example, you have a tender point here, then they target on this tissue and then you leave it. But basically, if I'm holding something, then my rotator cuff is stabilizing this, then my biceps and triceps are doing isometric contraction, then I'm able to do in certain positions. So when you're using your body as a whole, it is the force is transmitted through certain lines. So the releases or rolfing is to be done only through those lines. If you start from this line and turn into other line, it does not work too. So what I learned was, I teach at my place also. So when I go deeper, so this is for the patients also. So when somebody is going deeper in your body and you retract, that means you ask the massage therapist not to go deeper, because as soon as you retract it, that means you are closing yourself off. So even for a patient in chronic pain or chronic postural changes, when I do Rolfing, I go deeper. But if I feel that there is retraction or inhibition, then I come out of the patient's body and then I dig in and then lift the tissue and then give the way. And that to specific lines only.
So, what exactly is this Rolfing?
So Rolfing changes the biochemistry of the body. All the cells have an extracellular medium, and your collagen structure is there, your extracellular matrix is there. So basically, if your cell is a fish, then it's all the water around it is the fascia. So when even bone is fascia, but calcium is there, so it is hardened. So when we change the way, so gravity and our environment controls the whole thing. And when we have, for example, if somebody has an emotional blow or somebody is punching on your tummy, then we retract like that. We take care of ourselves by contracting. And that contraction, if we don't forget and we start controlling ourselves in this way, or when you are sitting on this desk and you're only turned on this way, then the whole force lines change in the body. So Rolfing changes the structure of the body, and as soon as the structure of the body changes, the function also changes.
Great.
It's a
That is something new that we are hearing.
yeah, I love Rolfing.
So, you also told about the importance of the calf muscle, and out of all the muscles in the leg, which would you believe to be the most important that one should work upon?
Calf. Calf definitely. So our heart is up here. When it is pumping, it does not have to work too hard except to send the blood to the brain anti-gravity. Most of the thing is done by gravity and the movements. Whereas when you have to bring the venous supply up, there are a lot of valves in the veins. And if your calf is weak and your lower leg muscles are weak, then the impurities are not pushed up. Veins need help of strong muscles. So calves, we have always learned, is the second heart of the body. You want to strengthen calves. I take almost half of my body weight and strengthen calf, and most of the people coming at my place do minimum 100 to maximum 200 calves every day. That is a warm up.
That's a lot.
That is a good warm up, though.
Now, coming to people who have undergone some vascular surgery. So they've undergone either a varicose vein procedure or a valve repair or some angioplasty or bypass for the arteries. So what care would you recommend for early and faster recovery of these people?
So, for most of the patients, as soon as the person can be mobile, is better to prevent all the complications like DVT also, and to have a proper successful surgery. So, bedside physio is important. As soon as the doctor allows most of the movements according to doctor's protocol, we start giving more movements. As the weight bearing changes and as the person's symptoms like claudication changes, then the graded exercise program works wonders. We had a patient with really bad claudication, but he was also a spinal stenosis patient, and his symptoms kept on overlapping. But as soon as after every third minute he had to sit, he was an aware patient. He was related to the medical field, so we kept on talking and all. And as soon as he sits, and as soon as the blood rushes in in the lower body, he could walk again. It came down to 1.5 minute. He went for a Doppler. He went for a surgery, and boom, within 1.5 month, he was walking again 1 kilometer. So between this time, we gave him a graded exercise program from bedside to the whole rehab, strengthening lower body, also strengthening upper body also, because as soon as the upper body becomes lighter and you're moving lot of arms, you are bringing fresh blood supply to the heart also. So mostly stretching, tai chi, yoga. We had pool, so we did lot of pool exercises, and gravity is not working, so that worked very well. Most of the people have access to the pool nowadays, so pool exercise are anti-gravity exercise and they work wonders.
So that's an important point that you brought out, that if you are getting relief with whatever exercise protocol, it's fine. But one should always remember that there are certain things where exercise may not cure it. And that's when going to the right specialist would matter.
Yeah. You cannot just have um, think that exercise is a god. I feel always be insightful to any physio, anybody who is doing exercises at home. If you think after few days you couldn't change patient's symptoms, you work as a team. Don't work alone.
So we have a lot of young viewers also who are quite health aware. And I'm sure they would also be interested to know what lifestyle measures would you suggest for them who have a long life ahead and want for a healthier lifestyle. So what things should they be more careful about?
So young people nowadays know the importance of movement, knows the importance of eating well, but are you doing it? Because knowledge is not applied. So that first thing, please apply all the knowledge you have gained from the YouTube. Second thing is that as soon as you are aware, if you are an active sports person from childhood, keep doing that sports. Even if you are working like 8 to 12 hours a day, you still have 4 hours for yourself. Second important thing is when a person is as active from earlier life, the environmental toxic waste products are now a lot. EMFs are there, a lot of food has changed. Our environment is changed. Everything is too easy. So obesity, insulin resistance has increased a lot. So using muscles from a very early age is very important. Of course, daily activity as aerobic activity, I recommend highly. Eating right food and yoga. Most of these things I feel do everything.
So we've heard a lot about people being hyperactive at certain time of the day, but rest of the day they are confined to their sedentary work. So what do you have to say about these people?
So we have people with back pain, neck pain, and even swelling, and they say that I work out every day. So when we check their whole lifestyle, then 1.5 hour, 1 hour they are active. Somebody's running 10 kilometers or maybe total 70 kilometers in a week, and we still see lot of bad changes in posture and circulation in the lower body. That is because if they are sitting after 1.5 hour, they are all inactive throughout the day. Um, which is mostly sitting and lying down. And mostly when they're sitting or lying down and they're chilling at home when you're tired of the whole day, they're slouching. So I recommend, don't be a sedentary active person. It is a just a fake thing in your mind that you did a workout and it is going to work for you throughout the day. You worked out, that is good for your fitness, for bringing shape in your body. But if you want to have blood supply, if you want to have nutrition and hydration in all the smallest area and all the cells in your body, then you have to move throughout the day. Even the fittest individual, if he's not active in the upper body, we have seen calcification in the heart also. So be active.
Yeah, and on the other extreme, we are seeing a lot of elderly people now who were sportsmen earlier, but they find that their muscles are now so weak that they cannot even do daily routine activities. So, this sarcopenia is also coming up in a big way, becoming very common these days. So, what precautions would you advise to the younger generation so that they can prevent sarcopenia in the future?
So people who are turning from 30 to 40, most of the females and perimenopausal females, I've seen that people who did not pick up weights early in the life, sarcopenia just hits them really bad in menopause. So for all the women, start lifting weights. Even if you like Zumba or if you like yoga, you need to lift weights. I love yoga, but I lift weights because I have to. Second important thing is, initially males and females whole structure was different, but nowadays because of the environment, most of the males also are having these kind of symptoms. So I feel, be as active, lift weights, balance it with stretching, do cardio, weight bearing exercises by your body weight bearing along with lifting 5 to 7 kilos of weight is one thing to prevent sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is there after 40 in most of the women. After 60, we see 8 in 10 women having sarcopenia. But the good part about muscles is you can strengthen muscles even at the age of 100. So you work on your muscles.
Great. So now we have a few rapid fire questions for you, and we hope you will answer them as fast as you can. Your top three exercises for a 20-year-old boy.
Push ups, pull ups, and abs.
And the top three exercise for somebody who's turning 50.
Push ups, squats, and yoga.
Great. If you have to choose between yoga and muscle strength,
I would choose yoga because there are certain yogic postures like thunderbolt poses and chaturanga asanas and many poses. If we hold for a long period of time, your muscles do work. Because in lifting weights, I'm doing unilateral uniplanar exercises. So I would rather do yoga.
choosing between gym and a fitness center.
Gym. I want to lift weights.
Great. So lifting weights, men versus women, any difference between the two?
Yes, because of testosterone, men can easily lift weights. Their body structure is different. Females' body structure is different. So they have to maybe take more creatinine and protein shakes, which I don't recommend. Uh, I feel females should work for their body. Combination of flexibility with strength training is a very good way. Don't try to be male.
Running versus muscle training.
Muscle training.
So there we see a lot of runners who have been running marathons, but their muscle mass reduces. So do they end up with problems later?
Yes, I have seen that. I was with Vadodara Marathon for since last 8 years. We were the fitness partners. Gradually, I saw people changing because you usually see a change in a decade or something. So we saw people that, because as soon as you start running, people become aware of their food and lifestyle and all. So they stop. They are in keto diet or high protein diet. Your body needs carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates for runners. I'm talking about. And most of the time, people when they are running, they feel they have done it all. They don't have to see the rest of the body. So their bones, their fascial structure is completely dehydrated and become acidic, and they do have a lot of issues. Even calcification we have seen. I have seen my friends who are runners had cardiac events They had high uric acid, they had chronic pains, which they are not even taking care of. So, stress fractures and all. So, I am not a believer of using the body in such a way that you break it down because of your ego.
Steps versus no steps.
No steps.
No steps?
No steps. If you are aware throughout the day and you are taking a lot of movement breaks, then no steps. Steps has been a okay calculator when we were not doing anything and it brought awareness. But if you are not moving your hip to full range of motion and not stretching your shoulder to full range of motion, then 10,000 steps is not going to help you.
So that was a really entertaining and eye-opening session with you. And Drashti is available at Vadodara. Her center called Physio to Fitness is an example of how to get physiotherapy and fitness all at one place. We'll share the address and contact details in the description too. And if you have any questions, please do write them in the comments. On an ending note, Drashti, would you like to tell something to our viewers?
Stay active, work on your emotional health also along with the physical health. We have seen people having the best of fitness, the best of bodies. They are doing everything they are doing, even taking movement breaks, but still they're not happy. Work on your creativity, work with your family, work with friends, have time for yourself. I think combination of everything makes you more healthier and happier.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a
Yep.
pleasure having you there.
Same here. Thank you. Thank you so much.